Okay. Hi, Greer.
Hello.
Hi, good to see you.
You
Hey,
too.
yeah. It's the 28th of April that we're recording this, and we've got Mother's Day coming up really soon, which is on the 10th of May. Yeah. And I thought, hey, why don't we just, instead of just celebrating Mother's Day for one day, which I don't think is enough, we need to celebrate it for a whole month. And so as Empowermums Mother's Month in May, I thought it would be a really cool project to interview inspiring moms like you. And I've known you for about a couple of years now, so you're in my coffee group. And you've got 3 kids. You've got 2 boys, and you've got 1 girl, Sabine, who is a month younger than my kids, I think. So she's 19 months old, I think.
Yeah. Just going into 20, I think.
Going into 20, yeah.
She's September. Your girl's August, yeah? I think it's like 3 weeks or something, yeah.
Yeah. And how old is Nixon and Ihaya?
So Nixon is 6.5 and Ihaya is 4.5.
Ah, so you have, my math is terrible at this time, I'm denied, but did you have 3 under 5 at one stage?
It was, I think it was, 3, 5 and under. Yeah.
That's intense.
Yeah, well, actually, so what was it? 5? Yeah, 5 and under. Well, yeah. There were moments.
So I want to interview you because I always find you really inspiring. You've always just been this real calm, collected mom, just.
Oh my God, it's so funny. And it's so funny because it's exactly how I feel about you, like twins. Like, it goes straight back to you, definitely. The calm bit, like for me, you just learn where to have your not calm moments, don't you?
Oh, really? But you're just like, oh, I just dropped off, a Hyatt at school, and I just dropped off Nixon at daycare, and I just have Sabine here. I have about an hour and a half until I have to go home before I have to do the whole process in reverse.
You get really good. Yeah, you get really good. I was just thinking, like, it's going back to when Nixon was born. The days just blur, and I needed a watch. Like, I needed a watch. I was like, how long has it been? What time is it? Like, you got into your schedule that way. But over the last few years, it gets ingrained. You just get so ingrained with, okay, prep for whatever's coming up in the next hour and a half. Yeah.
I'm always really curious in terms of your kind of motherhood journey, like the entry to your motherhood journey. What was that like with Ihaya?
With Nixon's the older one. So it was like any mom. It's like the shock of your life, but in the most amazing way, obviously. But Nate and I were living in Melbourne. So we'd been living there for, I think it was maybe we'd been there for 3 years, around-ish. So we'd built our house and we moved into it when I was 7 months pregnant. And Melbourne's, obviously, most people know how much of a bigger city it is. So, and with building, so it was 30 something Ks from the CBD, and kind of like rural. So we had kangaroos. We had our kangaroos in the backyard.
Oh, wow.
And it was awesome because we did have friends that lived like 10 minutes around the corner, but otherwise it was kind of only us. Nate was working in the city, and like no family around. So it was really different now that I look back at it compared to having Sabine here. And honest to God, my mother's group, which is like the, kind of like playing their maternal child health there. So kind of like the coffee group here.
Yeah.
They saved me. Like, because in our little kind of area, so we lived in an estate, there was a few of the girls, one of them that was probably the closest she lived on the other side of the park.
Oh, okay.
And, obviously just like what we do, like with the chats and everything, it's the whole like, what is this? How do I deal? What am I doing wrong or right? And what does this mean? And what's that sound? And we were just a sounding board for each other and being able to go and have walks with each other. And I had a horrific So it was a quick labor, you know, kind of eventful birth, but it was fine. So that was pretty good for me. The traumatic thing for me was the breastfeeding. I had real issues with breastfeeding, and yeah, that first 3.5 weeks, like, you look back and you're like, wow, it was intense, just because of the feeding. So once I got that under control, then I was able to get, you know, you get into the groove, and yeah, like, it's still amazing. But you when you reflect back, it's so interesting to see those moments, and you just see how they just mold you in, because obviously when you have a baby, you're a new person yourself. Like, you do change in a good way, in like all the amazing ways. Yeah.
And so how do you think having kids have changed you?
I wrote that down, actually. I was thinking, what was it? So in all the ways. So it's, and like, thinking about it with, you can see me, right? You can.
Yeah, I can still see you.
Cool. Like, when I think about it, because it's changed again and again with, you know, Nix and then Ehai, then Sabine, and it's interesting because I've been having the feelings quite strong lately of changing again, because of being 99.9% sure that I won't be having any more kids.
Right.
So it's now flipped from, you know, coming into this world as I'm a mother now, and, you know, owning your role as a mother, owning, you know, having your confidence, getting to know your kids, you know, getting the dynamics of once you've got, you know, more than one kid, and how you want your like house and lifestyle to be. Now it's flipped to, you know, got our groove, this is us. You know, the kids are getting to, you know, Ehai is going to be going to school this year, and I'm kind of now, all of a sudden, like a slight shedding of, it's not just me as a mother. I'm now coming into just, this is me as my own person, and that's a bit scary. I've spent the last 6 years identifying so strongly with, I'm a mom. I'm either pregnant, or I've got a new baby, or I've got, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it doesn't stop changing, I feel.
That's an interesting thing. So you're becoming your own person.
I kind of again.
Transformational process.
Yeah, definitely.
And I know that you're doing your yoga training. Do you think it's part of that, of you becoming your own person and wanting to do your own thing and having your own dreams? Can you tell me a bit more about that?
I think it's a huge part. Like, I've gone through, over the years, I realized that I am a learner. Like, I love to learn. I've done like random things, like I did, you know, online accounting, and then I did makeup course, and you know, I'm an Arbonne consultant, so I did Arbonne for a fair few years. I did something else. What was it?
What did you do, Greer?
Like university entrance, that was one of the other ones. Like, I was thinking about it, I was like, oh, actually I am always kind of learning something. But with the yoga, this has kind of been the thing that I've gone into since having kids, and I'm like, this is what I'm passionate about. This is what I want to do for myself, but also because I've seen the benefits, it's what I really want to share with other people, and especially mums, because God, when you go through the day in the hours, you see how much we so desperately need it. And so I guess learning the tools of the mindfulness, the physical practice, learning to carve out those times. And I think the practice of the yoga has trained me to be confident in carving out these non-negotiable times for myself each day. And while I'm doing that, it's at the same time just the benefits of learning to be aware of the stresses, be aware of when the ego comes in and takes over, and kind of just watching when my impatience and when my temper sets in, and reflecting on going, okay, I didn't want to handle things that way. It's just always kind of working on, you know, bettering, trying to be the best person that you can be, and you know, and learning, hopefully being the example and also learning the tools to pass on to the kids and
Mm.
Nate as well, so it's been like, this has been the first time that I'm really feeling in line with it and
Yeah.
loving what I'm kind of aiming for.
Yeah. Because I love yoga as well, and I think doesn't the word yoga means unity in terms of unity?
Yeah, it's
Body,
basically kind of like, it's got, it can be translated in a few different ways, but union, and people will interpret, and that's the thing about yoga, it's so personal for you and how you interpret it, but kind of just like that perfect amalgamation of the body, mind, and soul, and
mm,
basically the steps that you're taking to being, enlightened and your happiest, truest self.
yeah. And I think as moms, like I personally find that becoming a mom meant that I have had to suppress, I guess, kind of awareness of my own bodily needs or emotional needs, because I have to satisfy these babies' needs. So, like, for example, I wanted to go to the bathroom for like 2 or 3 hours, but I couldn't, right? So I just kind of like suppress the sensation of wanting to pee.
It's not priority. Your bladder is not the priority anymore.
Or that I've been really hungry, but I couldn't eat because the kids have been really crying, and so I think
you're stuck on the couch tandem feeding, like you can't physically get up.
Exactly, right. And I think you're right, that's part of kind of how I found, I guess, motherhood for me was so hard, is because I've always felt like I had to suppress my needs, and I had to learn how to, okay, like, these are my babies and their needs come first. But because it went to one extreme, I just got really depleted. I could not function after 6 months because I just had nothing else to give. It's
that shock to the system, and you're almost just running on that high adrenaline. And again, it's that first time mom, like it's the shock of your life, and you're constantly just in this like subconscious, like, what's coming next, what am I going to do, like, and like it's like I need this, but I can't even voice that because I'm a mom and these are the babies need this right now. Like it's that wouldn't that be heading into the world of you'd be heading into like kind of almost chronic fatigue after 6 months, where you're just absolutely depleted and drained.
I think that's what happened. I really crashed, and that was the same time when Aria had her accident.
So the stress on top of it.
Yeah,
oh my
and
God.
then I think there was just lots of emotional, I think what I was feeling was not just what had happened with her, the accident and everything, but it was this, like, you're right, amalgamation of everything. I kind of just like blew up because I had been running on adrenaline, because I actually remembered, like, I think in the first 6 weeks of Ari and Lexi's life, I was like, this is easy, like I can totally do this, because it's just literally like a factory of babies, like change, you know, like
I can do this motion. I got this down.
Yeah, I can totally do this. This is just a conveyor belt of babies. I can do this. You can see, like, this is just being efficient.
I may as well do triplets. It's all good.
Yeah. But I think looking back, I think that was because I was just in that fight or flight mode, and I was literally just like on that automatic pilot of doing, rather than kind of trying to process this whole emotional huge identity shift and everything. And then the 6-month mark was when I started going, holy crap, like, what?
It's such a hard thing, right? And because even with like obviously with your culture, like your mum and your grandparents, was it as well, or just the fact that it's you know, I remember you saying that your mum had you in the room, in your bedroom, resting, feeding you your soups, doing all of that, and I didn't understand that until pregnant with Sabine. I got this book, The First 40 Days, and it was a Chinese author, and she wrote about that, and all those beautiful things where you're re-nourishing your body, like you've got people, you've got the village, as much of the village as we can have these days. So you were doing effectively what you would think is all the right things when you've just had a baby. Yet after 6 months you end up in this position. It's like it's almost, it's just so hard to to prevent it, but also to be, you know, to catch it. Like it's just one of those things. Like the only thing I think we can all do is just support anyone that we know as much as possible in any way. And oh my God, honestly, Missy, doing this and what you're giving all these moms is just the most beautiful way to do it, really.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's why I'm so passionate about it, and that's why I wanted to interview all sorts of different moms, because I think as moms we kind of tend to, well, I don't know, sometimes I think like, oh, I don't have it as hard because, you know, I've got, you know, supportive husband or blah blah blah, you know, like we tend to underplay our own suffering and our own experience.
And which is such a typical thing to do, right? You know, you want to we and also because, you know, we're taught to practice gratitude. Like, I'm so grateful for everything that I do have, but and I think I've been quite bad at that as well. It's like, I'm so grateful for everything that I have. Like, I can't pay attention to what I'm struggling with right now, because I'll make it bigger and then it'll take over. But at the same time, you've got to just understand the reality of it, and it's a juggle.
Yeah. And I think that's a common belief that people have, is that, you know, like if I acknowledge the emotions that I'm going through, it's going to get bigger. Like, you know, I don't want to be one of those like people who wallow in depression.
Yeah.
That's not fun. But I think there's a difference, I guess, between just acknowledging and accepting that you're feeling a certain way or you're struggling, versus kind of wallowing in it without actually doing something constructive or changing something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think this is why we need to talk about the hard stuff of being a mother, because if we know that it's normal and it's common and everyone goes through it, then I think it's a lot easier for people to share. Because I think, like for me, I remembered like the first 6 weeks when Arya and Lexi were born, and like I said, I was just like an efficient, you know, baby feeding, diaper changing machine. But I wasn't enjoying being a mom. I was like, but I had these thoughts like, I really cannot connect with them. I didn't really bond with them. And I think at the 6-week mark, that's when my sister, I mean, you know, Annie, she also had 3 kids. She called me because I think she had a sense that I was going through something difficult, and she was just saying like, oh, how are you doing? And then that's when I'm like, oh, like on the phone.
What am I doing?
And then I'm like, I'm just not enjoying this. And I hate, like, you know, I'm just not enjoying this. And then she's like, oh, I've never enjoyed any of my newborns. And as soon as I heard that, I'm like, why didn't you tell me this earlier? Because I felt
what are you doing?
So much like shame and guilt for not enjoying my newborns, because like some people are different, right? Some people love the newborn phase, whereas I didn't. Like, it's just horrendous. And now I'm loving the toddler stage, and some people may struggle with this a bit more. So I think
totally.
we all have different phases, right? Yeah. And so what about you? Like, which phase do you enjoy the most?
Oh man, I knew you were gonna ask me that. Well, when I think about it, I think I don't think I struggle as much with the newborn phase when the breastfeeding goes right, or when the feeding situation's under control, because I've always been like an undersupply. So Nixon tore me to shreds, so that was another kettle of fish. Ehaya was preemie, and then Sabine was all good, but she dropped too much weight in the first week because, and we didn't realize. So apart from that breastfeeding stress, otherwise newborn stage was all good for me. Even though like I've got a bestie who she struggled with the newborns. She's got 2, has both times with newborn phases, and she pretty much like several times she'd just be like, I can't wait to just get out of the newborn bubble. I just want to get into that next phase and really start enjoying it. But I think I can't really pinpoint it, because Nixon was 2, bang on 2. So Ehaya was exactly a week old when Nixon turned 2. And then Sabine came along when Ehaya was 3 and Nixon was 5. So I've had all 3 stages kind of at the one go. So I love this toddler stage as well. Like, it's so cute, and especially when the words start coming out and the cheekiness, and it's really cool. I think it's depending on the personality, to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
because Nixon was harder at the 2-year-old stage because he was just a runner and didn't have as much talking going on. So I had to really be onto it with him, like in terms of time, which is where the whole routine thing comes in, like, and kind of be much more intuitive with what he was needing. Ehi's talking has been amazing. So, and he's the middle child. So anyone that has middle children know what middle children are like. So I've had the biggest struggles with him, you know, kind of in the last year, but he teaches me the most.
Oh, really?
Time, yeah. And we're in this really awesome kind of like phase at the moment where we're just kind of, I think, much more in line, and I yeah, that's where I think personality wise it does have a lot to do with it. Yeah, but yeah, like it's kind of Sabine was the worst, not the best sleeper, so she kind of compared to the three, like to all of them, and she was a super mummy's girl, so she kind of, I realized I didn't have any time to, I didn't have a day to myself for 17 months because she couldn't go to anyone else. She could go to daddy, but she could not go to anyone else. So that kind of pulled, but also didn't. Like it's, yeah, I can't tell you.
But you didn't have a single day to yourself for the past 17 months.
Nah. I had a few hours to I went to yoga.
Yeah.
A yoga class here and there, but she wouldn't go to my mum. So Nate would look after her. And then yeah, when she went to daycare at 17 months, I had my like first baby free day.
And how was that?
It was bloody awesome. What did I do? I can't remember. I was like, baby free day, la la la. I went slowly. I know I did that.
You enjoyed your coffee slowly, mindfully.
Did a bit of window shopping. I'm pretty sure there was window shopping involved.
Just going back to what you said about, so Ihaya, you said gave you kind of the most lessons, right? In terms of being a mom, or what are the lessons that you've learned from him?
I feel like he's been teaching me the most as a parent. And I think it's just because he challenges me. Like he in those that kind of challenging three-nager, like, you know, terrible twos. Yeah. So you have terrible twos, that was Nixon. Three-nager I got told about, that is Ihaya.
I have never heard of that term, but I love it. Yeah, I love it already.
Wait for it.
I can kind of see it already in my kids because they just are like messy.
I know. And then, oh my God, imagine what Sabine's going to be like. Me and Nate are already like, oh my God, we're so doomed. But like, Ihaya, he challenged me. And because with Nixon, he was so very, very straightforward. Like, when you do this, you will get that type thing. Like, it was very kind of reward, and you know, he wanted to strive to achieve or impress you. So sticker charts, work the dream, and little things like that. Do this, then you can watch TV, or you know, tidy up, blah blah. EI is just like, no. Like, I don't know if I think it took him a while before he could actually confidently just flat out say no, but he just would avoid it, and that wouldn't drive him. So the things that I used with Nixon to get us through the day wasn't working with Ehire. And then he just challenged me in having to think out a bit more outside of the box and learn how to negotiate, because I feel bad, kind of a little bit bad saying it, but because Nixon was a late talker, I didn't have to really learn to negotiate properly with a 3-year-old. Like Nixon didn't properly start talking until at least 3.5. Like he had words, but the sentences didn't come along. So he had a little bit of speech therapy. Whereas Ehire, we had all the words. And so yeah, it's been really good in that sense. And yeah, I can't really pinpoint. I don't know if I can give you a real clear example, except of just having to sit down and have the conversations, and I just had to let it go and the biggest thing that probably has been the biggest, like, which I learned with Nixon, is the whole, give them only two options. Like, do you want, a blue plate or a red plate type thing?
Yeah.
So I did that a lot with Ehire, but I had to really, really give him more power and more control over what he was doing before he would move on to the thing that was coming next. Like, I couldn't, the wall got put up when I did the whole, you've got 5 minutes left or 10 minutes left before we go into this. So, obviously you need to give them those transitions before you stop their activity that they're doing before they go and have a bath or whatever it is. Ehire needed to have more control over that, which I 100% understand, because he's the second child and he was the youngest, and he's come out fighting for that attention from the get-go. So
yeah, there's something about the middle child syndrome, I think, truly there, because
oh man,
just when you were talking about that, that really reminds me of my nephew. My sister has 3 kids, and it's my nephew, the middle child. So I mean, and he even though he just turned 8 today, but for me, he's more like a teenager than an 8-year-old. Like in terms of his kind of emotionality, his kind of just maturity. There's something about being a middle child.
I think they're way more. They're just aware of what everyone else is doing and what's going on. Like, they've just kind of like, they've obviously got big brother or sister to learn and mold of, but I think it's they're kind of coming in and going, okay, so this is the situation. Where is my place? How do I fit in? And that's I feel like that's maybe why they're more switched on a lot of the time. Obviously it's not with every single middle child, but I feel like that's kind of like the common denominator
for the middle children.
Yeah.
What I also love
is
how
can I be cheeky and get like get what I want.
But what I also love is that you said that, like in terms of Ehire and you, is that you are learning from him, right? So
totally.
Some parents would probably just say, like, this worked with your, older brother, like, how come this is not working for you? Whereas you kind of, you're like reflecting it, that it's the personality fit, right? Or you're actually parenting a different child, which requires different parenting approaches, right? You're not just have the same kind of approach from Nixon, Ehire, and then Sabine, because they're all different. They all have different personalities.
So, and then for you with Ari and Lexi, like, I don't know if you notice it so strongly now, but that's going to come up so strongly, definitely in the near future.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be our struggle, is that how do we treat them equally but differently, right? Because they're 2 different human beings.
Wouldn't that be like the main thing with twins all the time, eh? Like, they're growing up with going, no, I am my own person.
Well, I know, and that's why I think I'm already kind of planning ahead in terms of schooling and what that means, in terms
that's
of
awesome,
going to different classrooms and making sure that they have, a different set of friends and having kind of their own world. Because for me, what I find hard as being a twin mom is that they are treated as a unique, like, collective. Yes, they're unique, but they're always treated
especially as identical,
because they're identical as well. And, even a simple thing of, people not really knowing which one is which. Like, and I know it's a normal thing, because everyone has a hard time of.
I just love the way, like, I work so hard on, like, pinpointing them. I haven't seen them for ages, so I reckon I would struggle now, but I just love the way you just see everyone, you're just like, there's Lexi, that's Aria, like, before anyone said anything.
I just want to do that, because I'm like, I just want to set it up, and I want to make sure that they're treated differently. But I don't know what else to except that they've got different fringes.
But I think at the same time also, like, I think it's amazing that you've got those plans in place, but also it's, you have it there, and then you just got to do a wait and see thing. Like, it's again depending on personality, like Nixon and Ehire, and granted it's not the same because they're not identical twins, they're different ages, but it's pretty amazing to see how tight they are. They are so tight that we have kind of spoken about it at school, like when thinking about it at school. And Nixon's at a really tricky age where what I've figured out is 5 to 6 year olds, they really go through the whole, I think it's where they really start to feel that pressure on, you know, the cliques of groups and having best friends and not. And especially if you're one, like he's kind of a like happy loner and plays around everyone and doesn't have specifics. And so has had a lot of moments where he's like, I asked heaps of kids to play with me today, they all said no. And it's like those heartbreaking moments, which is a part of everyone's life. And I remember going through it as well. And when it comes to when Ihai will start school, I kind of have had moments where I'm like, well, what if he just ends up playing with Ihai only, and you know, and doesn't have those friends with him, you know, plays with those friends in his age, and vice versa for Ihai. And then at the same time, we're like, well, you know what, like, what if that keeps them happy and they feel safe and secure, then let them do that. You know, whatever works for them. Like, there's no need to try and pull brothers apart or sisters apart. So you might have Ari and Lexi in different classrooms, but they still might be like this. And that's cool.
Yeah. And then I think that's a great kind of approach to parenting, right? Just kind of flexible, and we try something out doesn't mean that we have to
trial and error. It's trial and error. Whoops, luckily tomorrow's a new day.
Yeah. What motto or like affirmations or sayings that you have for yourself when you're having a hard day?
Oh, I wrote those down too. That was a good question. So what I've done, like my latest thing, right? Because again, like we say, it always changes.
Yeah.
So it's in my keep notes. And this was when I was, you know, you're just going through those times, right? Whatever time it is, you know. And so I've got a reminder in my phone, and it comes up first thing in the morning. And
okay, cool.
Don't get me wrong, I often don't. I see it there, and it reminds me, but a lot of the time I don't actually go in and specifically read them. But anyway, I'll just read them out to you. So it kind of gives you the idea. So before I start my day, I remember, I'm the most blessed mummy in the world because I have you. Let's enjoy our whole day. We deserve fun after working so hard. I'm so grateful I have big helpers like you, my babies. We live in a beautiful world. We have so many gifts surrounding us. Every second now is more important than tomorrow, and I want to make you proud of me.
Aww.
And I kind of like, those are my when I have my hard day ones. And because I'm so, and I think it's just that when you're in the motions of having threes, and I get really annoyed at myself because I'm pushing them through the motions and through the hours. Like, you know, like, come on, I need you to tidy up this disaster that we've created, because Sabine's about to go to sleep. Then I'm going to have my 1 hour that I need to have in the playroom, which is also my yoga room, which is cool. And then they go and have their TV room, or, you know, like, come on, it's nearly time to get out the door. There's 3 of you have got to get out, or, you know, bloody dinner time. Usually after dinner, it's like as soon as one's finished dinner, straight baby in the bath, the second one in the bath, the third one in the bath, get them ready for bed, like, and then you just don't sit down for 3 hours. And you just like, it's that whole, you put that, and I see myself putting my tension and my stress onto them. And, you know, like, I just it's just one thing that we're working on. Like, I just hate it when I'm like being that fun sucker. I don't want to be that, like,
you're the fun police.
But yeah, well, like the drainer, like, I don't, you know,
you're like looking at your clock and it's like
yeah, it's like, you know, yes, you have to be authoritative and whatever, but like, can we, you just also want to make it fun. And so that's the work in progress without having to rely on wine, you know.
yeah. But I love this reminder. So do you try to remind yourself of that in the morning or during the day when you're having a bad day?
I try and remind myself in the morning, because I just have noticed when I get up, like, I make sure I get up at least 10, I aim for 20 minutes, 10 to 20 minutes to have just be able to make a cup of tea, sit in here, you know, maybe do a few like kind of wake up physical movements, or have a few moments like meditation or whatever, get a little bit of music going. and I'm just a totally different person
Yeah.
compared to if I've been woken up by the kids and I'm already on the back foot. Like, so those kind of little affirmations and reminders just, I feel like, remind me to chill the F out before it happens.
I love that, because I also find that, so the kids, well, Brian gets the kids up, and then because I always just want to sleep in.
Yeah, till 7. Woo!
Even at 7 a.m.
Such a good sleep in.
Yeah, so like and I mean, I need to kind of work on this now, but since the lockdown, I'm just like, I want to sleep in, so I've just been not getting up earlier than them. And then that's what I found, same as you, is that, you know, he brings them up, I already feel like I'm already at the back foot. I just want to go to the bathroom. I can't go to the bathroom. Like,
yeah, or just go to the bathroom in peace, not with mummy, door slammed open, like, yeah.
Yeah, and you're right, because I think just that 10, 15, 20 minutes first thing in the morning to just kind of, you know, just even basically cover our biological needs, to go to the bathroom, maybe
just
have
wake up, like, actually wake up naturally.
Wake up naturally without just having like suddenly kind of satisfy all these human beings' needs on my own. Like, you're right, the times that I have woken up earlier and just taken that time for myself a little bit, I feel so much better, and I am a lot more calmer, and I'm not as triggered as easily.
Just a nicer person, I think.
A nicer person. And I think it shows how important it is to, you know, kind of meet our needs first as moms, right?
Oh, so important. It really is. And I think maybe I feel like I really, really understand that more now, like in the last, we'll say 8 months, than in the last, 6.5 years of being a mom. Like, I don't know why, it's just, I really, really understand it now. And I think also with lockdown and everything, it's just like, wow, you really, really understand it when we're all in this really surreal, trippy experience that no one's really had to go through.
Yeah, and possibly because you're also trying to be a lot of different roles all the time. Like, you have to do a little bit of homeschooling and basically take care of 3 kids 24/7.
And I think it's also that awareness that has come in. Like, I was messaging my friend yesterday, and we were just kind of like, we have really, we're pretty good positive messages back and forth, have a few video chats here and there, and then sometimes we just both get to the point where we're just like, I am just struggling now, like, kind of, this has happened, whatever, we'll have a little vent to each other. And then so yesterday I realized she had a day that I had kind of almost exactly the day before, and it was just this day where I put all of these I shoulds on myself. And when you just kind of look back and reflect, like, and see how your day has panned out and where your mind's been at, all this like internal pressure that I put on myself of I should do the things this way or I should do things that way. Like, it's awesome going on social media, for example, and getting all these cute or cool or whatever ideas of what you can do with your kids, but you can't help but sometimes be a little bit overwhelmed because you can't quite do it that good, and you can't quite execute it or finish it. You get 2 minutes into it and it all falls over because your kid doesn't care, and you think it's your fault. And it's, it's just kind of remembering to just not do that. Don't bother. Don't bother.
That kind of reflected on the last week, the 2 times that I had meltdown. One was, I've already told you about, when I just wanted to have breakfast.
Yeah.
Had the 2 kids climbing up on me. But the other time was when I was trying to entertain them. And then so I made Play-Doh, which is the first time I've made Play-Doh. Very exciting.
Good job. It was the first, like, literally I made it for the first time this lockdown as well. Like,
I know.
You did it in like under 2 years. I did it took me 6.
I was just that desperate for entertainment, but I was so proud of myself because I made Play-Doh and it was amazing, and it's just like, it felt like real Play-Doh, and it's made like real nice,
good recipe,
real nice red and green color. And then I gave it to the kids, and then of course, what did they do? Like, Lexi ate a lot of it. It has like 3/4 cups of salt. She started spewing up.
That's right. Oh my God, you messaged it. Oh my God, so stressful.
And then just this like chaos. And then I just cried. And I had to go for a walk.
How often does that happen? How often are you like, this day is going awesome, I'm a cool mom, these beautiful babies are amazing, and like it's almost like you just triggered it, and like it would have been, 10, 15, even 30 minutes later, it just comes crashing down. You're like, how did it turn into such a disaster so quickly?
Yeah. But I think it's because I had an expectation that I was gonna, I made Play-Doh, and then the kids would just be like loving it and spend like an hour playing Play-Doh so I could have some peace.
Oh, bless.
Which, of
Did
course,
the Play-Doh turn brown though? Did they mush it all together?
No.
The thing that always just drove me nuts with the boys is like, you get all these cool colors, let's make rainbows. Like 10 minutes and it's all brown. So this time I only made one color. You will play with pink until there is no pink left to play with.
I did learn that. I didn't give them the two colors, but definitely what I'm like reflecting on that now of why I found it so difficult is because you're right. I had that should statement or the expectation.
Yeah.
The expectation that they would play with Play-Doh for an hour so I could have my cup of coffee in peace, which didn't happen, obviously. And that just threw me over the edge.
This is not the day to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
But then afterwards, at the end of the day though, like when it all blows over and you look back, like, did it end up taking a huge chunk out of your day, or did it end up being a blip? And you were like, that was a crap moment, but otherwise we're all good. Like, did you laugh about it? How long did it take for you to laugh about it?
It probably didn't take me that long. Yeah, I mean, like, I think I've learned enough that when I'm having a hard time with the kids, I need to put them in a stroller and then go for a walk, because they would be screaming and crying, but they'll still be safe, and I just clear my head, and then I usually feel much better, and I'm like, okay, whatever.
And everyone gets a refresh button.
A refresh button, yeah, exactly. But yeah, definitely the expectations and the should statements is what gets us down, right? All the time.
Mega.
Yeah. So like, how do you have some kind of self-care for social media, or just trying to be more mindful of
I'm very aware. I feel like I haven't been great with lockdown, to be honest. Like, I can see it, and it's annoying. I'm just walking around with the phone in my hand, and I'm trying to do like the multitasking, and I'm trying to do like, I'm checking things or whatever, but I know that how it looks, because you always get interrupted when you're trying to do something.
Mm-hmm.
So it ends up, you're trying to do this 2-minute thing that takes a good, half an hour, 2 hours, whatever. But the kids constantly just see you with this phone in your hand. And that's what I'm not liking. And I think it's also because of being in lockdown, it's like, this is your kind of the one thing this is your connection to the real world. A world out there. I think there's still a world out there. Like, and for me, it's been really hard actually getting outside and going for big walks with the three of them. It's just the ages at the moment. Like, it's fine if Nate can come as well, but he's flat out with work, and so he's been sitting in with Nixon's online Zoom meetings, which takes his morning till 10 o'clock, so he doesn't have time to go for a walk. So the poor thing is stuck in the office all day and doesn't get outside for a walk. And in the afternoon, it doesn't really work either, because by the time Sabine's woken up, and then if we get out the door, I pretty much need to already be back, because she's starving to death at 4 o'clock or 4:15. And I just don't want to feed her only crackers for dinner, or fruit, which she would love, but I can't do that every day. And so I haven't been getting out for those walks, which means, again, you're just doing this whole phone thing, walking around on the phone thing. So that is definitely something that I am very aware of at the moment. But usually in not lockdown worlds, I've tried the whole let's not do it from whatever time to whatever time, and it hasn't really stuck with me. Like, I think that is something that I'd like to put some structure in place, but I think it's just being as mindful as possible. Like, not just going and scrolling on social media for the sake of it. You know, like I'd be on the phone for messages or whatever, and I constantly, and the other reason you've got your phone in hand is because you're always taking photos and videos, like, and always trying to capture them. So I've got like 50,000 photos. So yeah, I'm not very helpful there.
No, I think you're right though, because with the lockdown, everyone has had to rely on technology. Kids, you know, have to go online and do everything online, and all our self-care, I mean, besides walking and cycling and all the outdoor stuff, all the kind of self-care stuff like yoga, that's through online as well. That's technology, right? So it has kind of wired us to be more dependent on being online. I mean, like us right now, like we wouldn't be able to do
right
this
now, but it's
online.
really needed, and without it, like, it's been the godsend. And I think people have spoken about it, and you kind of make a really good point there. Like, it will be quite interesting to see the image and the perception of it after getting out of this weird stage, because we're so, you know, it's obviously such a big thing of don't be stuck on the screens, like, you know, the scrolling's obviously not healthy and blah 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 blah. Within this stage though, there's been so much more focus on getting out and being with nature and getting into nature. So I feel like it's been like just kind of, and lockdown has done that. Like, even with I had this really bad few days of like hormones and like craziness, and it's like lockdown just, I feel like, has amplified everything. And made it kind of extreme. So we've got extreme nature and extreme walking and activities, which is awesome, but also extreme technology.
Yeah. And that's really interesting again that you said, you know, like lockdown has amplified everything, because my sister also said the same thing about just amplifying, well, I guess her because we were talking about PMS, and I said that
it was exactly that.
She was talking about it. She was like,
what's going on?
Because I was like very irritable and just kind of like all over the place, and then,
like super psycho.
And she said herself, like, she noticed that lockdown had amplified, I guess, the feelings, and just everything just seemed so extreme.
I had the worst like pain and like couple of days that I had since before Sabine. Like, I do not remember having a period like that since, like, I can't remember, and it just has to be lockdown.
It's definitely the lockdown, I think. We're under this unprecedented time that has been extremely stressful for a lot of people, for all of us, I think. Like, as much as we say that it's great that we're spending time with family and blah blah blah, there's also a lot of stuff that is really stressful that we need to acknowledge. And just hopefully by the time it's, well, yes, on Mother's Day it's going to still be level 3. So what would you like for?
Thank you for saying that. I totally forgot about Mother's Day.
What would you like for Mother's Day? What do you usually get for Mother's Day from the boys? Because Sabine is obviously too.
Well, this is the thing, right? There's usually really, really cute things that come home from daycare or from school.
So you need to make them do.
That ain't gonna happen. Honestly, like a barista coffee, a takeaway one is perfect. And just some, like, I was thinking just a cool walk with the family and some hugs and kisses would make me the happiest mom ever.
Oh, that's very cute.
Yeah, you like no need. Yeah, it's the simple things, which I think is, again, the good thing about lockdown is it's really made you go back to basics and realize that it's all those, well, not realize, but just remember that it's all those little things that really only matter.
Yeah,
that's kind of it. But I really need to think about what to do for mum.
So I also want to give you something to say thank you for your time.
Oh, what?
Not barista coffee, but I will get you this. I really love coffee.
So amazing. You didn't even need to do that at all. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for asking me to do this. I'm so humbled and honored and awesome. It's just been fun chatting anyway.
Yeah, it is. It's so fun. So this is from the Generosity Cafe in Birkenhead, the one that Penny really likes. It's
Yes.
opposite the Birkenhead Library, and they roast their own coffee, and they do
Oh, I
delivery.
can't wait to try it.
I've been getting delivery of coffee from them, and they opened today, and I
So
walked
excited.
past, and they just had this massive speaker blaring out party music. They have like all these people waiting outside just wanting to get their coffee, and it's like really fun to see because yeah, that they're really great cafe.
Oh, that's amazing.
They also
Thank
donate
you.
a portion of their proceeds, I think, to charities like Kids Can. So yeah, so I'll get you one.
Go there because I haven't made it there yet. I haven't made it to Generosity Cafe. Obviously, I explore over the shore all the time, but yeah, I haven't made it there. So
Next time when we can actually
we'll do it. Coffee date and play date at Generosity.
Yay! So thank you so much again for your time,
Oh,
Greer. I
thank
really
you, my
appreciate
love.
all your insights and wisdom of having 3 kids.
And vice versa with twins, just with kids in general,
Just
and
with
all
kids
the
in
mind stuff.
Yeah.
You're amazing.
Oh, thank you, Greer. Say good night now.
Nana.